Oh, if you haven't already, go back and watch the one against Wales. We got into who was in the squad there. Go and watch that. Then come watch this. And it'll all make sense. We've predicted our squad for Wales. We're now off. Obviously, we're pre-recording this, but we're very confident that we've won.
Come on, England.
Come on, England. We've got more managerial prowess between us than Gareth Southgate, as in that big old nose of his. But we're now up against a much tougher opposition in Belgium. Let's get into the team selection, shall we, Mike?
Yes, so let's do it.
We finish off with this is obviously the squad that we had for the Wales game. And in the interest of squad rotation and the fact we think we're probably going to need a bit more firepower to get past
the
Belgium, yeah, then obviously we're going to change our little formation. We've had a little chat about it, and we think we've mostly agreed on some of these positions. We're going to go with like a 4-3 something. It will make sense. I'll be able to tell you what the formation is afterwards. We know what it is, but it's definitely a 4 at the back. So obviously with those defenders, I would make a change there, if I'm honest. I would bring in Ben Chilwell, who is eligible as a left back. Nothing against Saka. I think he's a quality player, but having a recognised left back in that squad will do the world of good, and he will be a little bit more rested.
Yes, completely agree.
I would keep Tyrone Mings.
Yes.
Obviously, shout when you don't agree with me. I would keep Tyrone Mings in there just because he's solid and he's been playing quite well this season. Now, old Slabhead, this is a difficulty because he's been playing rubbish for United, but he is usually quite solid for England. But in the interest of him being, well, the speed he runs, it's like he's running in custard. I would put Connor Cody in there.
Go for it.
Again, a player who powerful in the air. So it does take up that slabhead position of being out, heading him out, but also quite composed for me. And see the right back. This is where we get interesting because we've got Reece James and Kieran Trippier playing against Wales. Not saying they can't play more than one game, but I would think we were either going to go with Kyle Walker or Trent Alexander-Arnold in one of those games. Just for the fact of trying to keep players a bit fresher.
And obviously the risk of injury and stuff.
Risk of injury. So would you agree, disagree? Or...
I completely agree. I would be inclined to see Kyle Walker in there.
Mr. Walker himself?
I think he's got... Yeah, I think he's going to have a bit more pace about him. More experience. I know... Obviously, Liverpool were champions of the Premier League last year, so you can't really say that he doesn't warrant his position.
Yes.
But I just think that Kyle Walker, mind you, didn't he get sent off in like the game before last?
Who, Kyle Walker?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think he got a second yellow. So I would have only been on one game suspension anyway. But obviously, with him throwing him in is a potential for a bit of a nutty boy challenge or whatever. But I just think out of the two that we just had, so Alexander-Arnold and Kyle Walker, my personal preference would be Kyle Walker.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Let's see what exotic foreign names I can come up with for this particular spot.
Okay, Martial, I can tell you now, mate, he's not eligible. It's not happening.
No, okay.
Now, see, the sort of formation I was going to go with here, so we can have another defender in there, was sort of a bit like the midfield. I can see being a bit of this sort of flying V. I can't even find the geezer. What's his name? Mason Mount. I can see like the three in midfield, and then having a geezer here. So where Rashford's out wide, having a geezer in there, or maybe two wingers again coming in. I don't know. Or two playing two central defensive midfielders, three across the middle. Sort of the 4-2-3-1 essentially. Is what I'm getting at here, because we're missing a player because we only had 5 at the back. Oh, actually, Mike, while we're here, are we going to change the goalkeeper? It's
That's
free.
a good point, actually.
And the reason I say that is there's free games and free goalkeepers. So could we see, or do you think he'll just stick with number one and unless there's some sort of injury?
It's a difficult one to predict, isn't it? Because obviously we don't know what's going to happen between now and when the games are played. Just because they could have a training session, one could be injured anyway,
Oh yeah.
or they could pick up an injury during the game. But I would say that's a good shout, actually. I think. In fact, no.
Go on.
Go on.
I was going to say, for me, at the free, Nick Pope is the best shot stopper. Dean Henderson is good at. I think Pickford's got the best distribution, and Dean Henderson's the best at just parrying things away. So you've got what Hazard, Kevin De Bruyne, Lukaku coming into this Belgium squad, haven't you? So your likelihood is they're all going to be playing. So it's going to be a lot of whipped balls into the box. So for me, I would personally go with Nick Pope. But if you
I was just about to say, actually, with the crosses coming in, and they've got some big lads, especially with Lukaku. It might be worth having someone a little bit bigger as well.
You mean someone who hasn't got arms that are the size of toothpicks in goal. Right. So now that was a quick debate. I'm surprised we've agreed so much on this. I think it just goes to show we are on the same wavelength. So in that, we're going to go with the 4-2-3-1. So I'll bring Eric Dyer back. And we've got, at the moment, obviously, we've got Captain Rice and Eric Dyer. Who do you think is going to play those two roles? Because in the interest of squad rotation, I can't. If Eric Dyer and Rice start, I can't see them both starting again.
I would say drop Declan Rice. I know that might hurt you, and I do apologise for hurting you.
I, as much as I like seeing him play for England, with the amount of games we're playing at the moment, providing, we've still got an hour and a half left of the transfer window. If he hasn't joined Chelsea by that point, if he has, play him in all games. I hope he gets injured. No, that's a lie. I don't. I think he's a cracking player. But I feel for the interest of club football, getting him one game in 90 minutes is fine. Maybe even a little run out in one of the other games, but I don't want him playing all three.
Yep.
So we've chucked out Declan Rice. Who are you replacing him with? I'll chuck up a few suggestions, shall I?
Yeah.
We've got James Ward-Prowse, Calvin Phillips, Jordan Henderson, Maitland-Niles. We've seen playing that position. Harry Winks. We've got in there. I dare say it. Jack Grealish, because we have seen him play that sort of position before. Not quite as deep as that in a while, but can spray balls about. He's got a good range of passing.
See, I put more of an attacking player.
We're sticking with Eric Dyer, are we?
Yes, I think stick with Eric Dyer, just again based on his experience. But sometimes experience isn't always a good thing. But
if we've got Eric Dyer in, then do you know what I'm going to suggest?
Got him.
Just because he plays with him, and obviously there's that little bit of telepathy there. Harry Winks.
Do you know what? I was going to suggest him, but I didn't know.
Harry Winks for me is a very good player that will never be great. He will always be very good. He's one of those that if he's in your squad, you always can go, yeah, okay, he's reliable. He's got an all-round game. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't look at him and put him in a World Cup winning squad or a Champions League winning squad or Premier League winning squad. He's always going to be top half of the table.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I put him. Mr. Reliable, I would say. But that's why I put him there, just because Eric Dyer and him, club level. For me, the bit that drives me mad is where, a bit like that golden generation we had, lots of players who played together, yet they were never put in a squad together. They were always put in bits and pieces. Mm. If you're playing with someone week in, week out, you know where they're going to be without having to look. You know what runs they're going to make. So for me, him knowing where Eric Dyer is going to pull back, go forward. It just gives that midfield a little bit more balance. But again, I'm open to suggestion.
No, that works for me.
Okay, so are we going with the sort of weird central midfielder that we said we was going to go with?
Yes.
So this season, we have seen Harry Kane top the assists chart for Tottenham. Usually plays up top for England, but again, it's a Tottenham diamond in the middle there, or Tottenham triangle in the middle. We've seen him drop it a lot deeper for Tottenham and spraying out passes to Son, to Dele Alli, to Bergwijn, to Aurier. And I think he's been playing really well there, and I think it's actually improved his game, because before he's just known as a striker. I don't particularly like him. I think he can't fault his professionalism, always wanting to play. Can't fault his ability to score a goal, but as a player, he just doesn't do it for me.
I think as well, potentially, because he did have a fair few injuries last season. I think that's possibly partly because of the amount of games that he's had to play for Tottenham.
Yep.
But I just don't. Again, I'm not doubting his ability to score goals, because he loves a goal against us. But he's been off the boil for the last 2 seasons, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, because the likes of Liverpool have been absolutely outstanding with the number of goals that they've been getting, and he hasn't really come close towards the Golden Boot in the Premier League. So I think that with the injuries, that has scuppered him a bit, and it might do him a bit of a favour to play back a bit, that he doesn't have to be reliant on making the darting runs in behind defenders, and as you said, can ping the ball about. So I do agree with what you're saying, and I like what you're doing there as well. That was going to be my other suggestion.
I was trying to do that without you noticing, so I can just go, oh, Jack Grealish is playing there. For me, a player who can be one of the best in the world. He's got the world's smallest shin pads. That is a fact.
And shortest socks. But
again, see, here's the thing. Aston Villa, I've been saying for a while that he's big fish in a small pond. Aston Villa has strengthened and got some good players to come and play around him. And the first couple of weeks in the Premier League, it weren't quite working out. There was a lot of open space where a lot of the new players were finding him, but he just wasn't passing because he's not used to having those players to pass to. Against Liverpool, it was flicky bits. He was doing the skills. He was taking on players, but he was also bang first-time passes in quick 1-2s. They obliterated Liverpool.
Yep.
So for me, putting him next to Harry Kane, who to play off of, Harry Kane can push forward. He can drift in. Again, quite a versatile player going forward as well.
Yep.
And the other one for me on the other side, it's got to be this man. We don't see much of him because he obviously plays in the German league, but lightning pace, can take on a player, and again, making those runs in behind you, we're going to see him. So he goes there for me. Calvert-Lewin, I can see him having a bit of a goal drought, to be fair, for England. Just through no fault of his own, just receiving bad service in that first game. I think that's potentially what's going to happen. I hope not, but for me, it's one of 2 players. A man who can find the goal from anywhere in Danny Ings, or a man who's just turned 23 who snatches at a lot of shots, but he does find a goal. Will run for 90 minutes without question. So are there any advances on either of those 2 players? Or anyone else you want to put in there?
Aubameyang.
I smack my drink everywhere.
I did in the last one. And for me, as I said, I think this is definitely going to be the harder game out of the 3 games that we've got. And we both said that we definitely need some more firepower within this particular fixture. My preference would be Danny Ings in up top for this particular game.
Yep.
Just because I think, as we saw last season, he was Southampton's top scorer. He had an incredible season last year, and I think
he's got the ability to find the goal from anywhere, isn't he?
Yes, yeah. And I think if for a game where we need to get goals, as you said with Tammy, he's definitely got the work rate, but like you also said, he does tend to snatch.
He's not as clinical.
Can score goals. Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm trying to say. We need someone to be more clinical. Thank you.
Do you know the only other person I would have put in this team who I think would excel, especially with Harry Kane playing a bit deeper, spraying passes forward, Jamie Vardy. Lightning quick, knows where the goal is, but he's retired. He's had a bit of falling out with them because they've said he was coming off the bench when he was a top goal scorer.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a bit of a joke, really, so don't blame him. But, yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with your assessment there of Tammy. Yeah. I think we may see both of them play that game. Possibly going 4-4-2 with Harry Kane pushing up top. But yeah, if you think that we're right, let us know. If you think that we're wrong, then let us know more than that. More than if you think we're right.
But tell us why we're wrong.
Tell us why we're wrong. Give us your suggested lineup. That's what we want to know. Hopefully by this point, as I said earlier, we've done all of these on transfer deadline day. We've got England games coming up, so we're assuming that our first game against Wales we've made right with our selection, and again then changed it for squad rotation in this game. I've been Ian.
I've been Mike.
He's been Mike. I got it the right way this time. He's been Mike. We are FDT-TV. Please subscribe. We like it when you subscribe. Please, sir. But we'll see you in a couple of days for our last and final game against Denmark.
Yep.
Cool.